you please mention some of the best methods of teaching citizenship education? Please exchange your ideas with your partner. Teaching methods are broader techniques used to help students to achieve learning outcomes. That's broader techniques that teachers used to help students in achieving their desired outcomes. And teaching methods are the most important link in the teaching learning process. Unless we use proper method, we cannot be successful. So teaching method helps students to master the content of the subject and to learn how to apply the content in particular contexts. So teaching methodology is something very important in the teaching learning process. So in order to bring the desired learning outcome, it needs active learning teaching methods. This is the policy direction. So whenever we teach our students, we need to use active learning methodologies, and there are different active learning methodologies. Thus, the new textbook hoped to be designed, and of course designed in line with the student-centered teaching learning methodologies. These are some of the active learning and teaching and learning methods of citizenship education. There is simulation method. Simulation method is one of the active teaching and learning process. Discussion method is another method. Cooperative learning, group work, independent work, research technique, problem solving technique, demonstration, debate, case study, observation, storytelling, role model, field trip, community-based method, brainstorming method, and etc. Based on the nature of that context, that lessons, teachers are expected to use this and even the rest or others active teaching learning process, method. And qualities of good methods. The quality of good teaching method is it should rouse a large range of interest in the minds of students. Students are not the same. There is a difference between our students, so we need to bear in mind those realities. It must inculcate a love of work or the habit of work into the students. It needs to encourage them. It should emphasize facilitated learning than teaching. Yes, teacher is there just for facilitation, not only to dictate the students. It should be experiment-based. It should be experiment-based, the methodology that we use. And it should provide students the opportunities for participation. It is not teacher-centered approach. It should be student-centered approach, and so students should be given the opportunity for participation. The next point to be seen is assessment. Assessment is something very important in teaching learning process. Unless we know how to assess, what to assess, when to assess effectively, we cannot be successful in realizing the predefined minimum learning competencies and learning outcome of the subject and the curriculum. So assessment is an ongoing, systematic process of gathering information using established standards to decide about a participant's learning or to inform the instruction. So assessment in classroom research is a classroom research to provide useful feedback for our students to improve the teaching learning process. And so assessment can be classified into formative assessment and summative assessment. You are familiar with these concepts with these issues. Formative assessment is designed to assess the learning process by providing feedback to the learner, which can be used to identify strengths and weaknesses and hence improve the future performances. So it is an ongoing process. The one which is summative assessment is it occurs at the end of an educational activity and designed to judge the learner's overall performances. So these are the two categories of assessments. And the other point to be raised there is lesson plan. What is lesson plan? Yes, lesson plan is a selection of topic, determining instructional objectives, selections of teaching methods and instructional materials, which is used to determine the evaluation and instruments for the assessment of the teaching. So lesson plan and planning before teaching process is something very crucial for teachers. So why we need to use lesson plan? it gives the teacher a sense of direction. Without having lesson plan, a teacher cannot go wherever. So we need to use a lesson plan while we teach. It helps teacher to know when and where to start and where to stop. So it gives a direction, it's a map for a teacher. It allows the teacher to know which materials would be needed so that they are collected before the class. So these and the rest are some of the importance of lesson plan. Steps to develop a quality lesson plan. Whenever we want to develop a better lesson plan, there are steps that we need to consider. The first one is, what is intended competencies of that subject matter? What is the focused competencies? So unless we know the competencies, it's very difficult to prepare a qualified lesson plan. So attended competency is the first step. Knowing what to teach. Yes, what is the content that we are going to deliver is something that we need to know while we try to develop a good lesson plan. Understanding the nature of the learners. There might be a diversity or differences between our students in terms of their educational backgrounds, etc. So we need to understand that. Developing clear outcomes and understanding the methodologies to be used and the activities to be employed, and knowing the materials that we are going to use while we teach, and knowing the assessment procedure to use. When we know all these things, yes, we can prepare or develop a better or qualified lesson plan. There are some common mistakes that we made while we build a lesson plan. So you can see here, instructional objective, do not specify what the learners will do. Lesson assessment is disconnected from the instructional objectives formulated. By the way, these are based on assessment findings about the common mistakes while teachers make or prepare a lesson plan. So we need to be take care of making those common mistakes. Lesson plan format. Yes, there are different lesson plan formats that we have in our hands. Different schools might have different formats, but as much as possible, it's better to use the same or nearly the same format of a lesson plan. And this is a lesson plan format, a sample lesson plan format, which is prepared by Oromia Educational Bureau. So it's better to use this as much as possible while we plan for our lesson delivery. Then in the new format, there is a competency-based lesson plan. It contains name of the school, name of the teacher, subject, unit of the lesson itself, and then page number, date of the lesson delivery, rationale of the lesson. Yes, this is somehow different from what we know earlier. Then minimum learning competency should be included here in a brief way. And then there are 3 sections here in the table: starter activities, that is brainstorming, presentation and expansion part, and finally stabilization and adaptation part is here. So you can please use this format and try to plan your lesson plan. And the final part of lesson plan is here. Teaching and learning method should be clearly included here, written here. And then teaching learning materials should be mentioned clearly here. And then giving further activities, name and signature of the teacher, comment and signature of the department head. Then lesson evaluation is also expected. What was the strong side of the lesson, and then what was the weakness observed at the lesson delivery should be included, because this is used as a record for the teachers, even for the future. So there is a group work, dear teachers, being with your subject teachers, being with your partners, try to select a lesson and develop a competency-based lesson plan and present it to the class for the discussion. To conclude, based on the research finding and to conform with the pressing national and global issues, it is necessitated to the revision of the existing civic and ethics curriculum. We have seen earlier that there are a lot of drawbacks, there are a lot of weaknesses related to the existing curriculum. So in order to tackle those problems and bring a solution, there was a need to revise the existing curriculum. Accordingly, the new citizenship curriculum is designed in the way that it can elevate the research-identified drawbacks and aims at producing citizens with local and global values and skills. So, finally, dear teachers, I do have a message for you. I'd like to stress that despite the fact that the role of other stakeholders is very important in realizing the targeted goals of the new curriculum, your role is very important. You do have a line share. Therefore, please be at the front and do your best for the best of all. Thank you so lot.